thank you.
No worries. So I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with Oddit or not, but I'll give a little background. So we do what we call brand first CRO. It's a term we coined because we didn't really fit into the, this traditional CRO bucket of looking at data and A/B testing and all of that good stuff. My background in particular is around product design. So, digital product design. So had an agency for 10 years, did a lot of work designing really long customer journeys. So think like a multi-stop flight booking with hotels and cars and, 87 touch points before you hit, the credit card checkout button. And so I actually didn't have a ton of e-commerce background when we started Oddit. What we were doing was taking a lot of the learnings from building and designing those long-form user experiences and applying them to e-commerce. So what we really focus on is really similar to what Nick is doing, and removing friction, keeping things focused, and really just helping e-commerce brands stand out. I think one of the biggest issues that we run into with every one of our customers is they all have products that somewhat sit within the same space, and they struggle to find that unique proposition. They struggle to find that unique experience that helps them with their conversion, because there isn't really many D2C areas that aren't competitive anymore, because it's become so accessible to launch a brand. So yeah, our focus is really on just tearing down websites and redesigning them in a way that promotes higher conversion, higher AOV, and just tells a better brand story.
Awesome. Thanks, Shaun. So now we've got a bunch of websites that everyone submitted. We're just going to spend 5-6 minutes on each. Nick and Shaun will kind of give their insights, walk through different pages. And then, yeah, we'll get through as many as we can. So we'll start with this first one. Send it in the chat so everyone can kind of.
I'll just screen share, Nick, and then just chime in as we go.
Yeah.
Works for me.
So this first one here, it's called Moody.
All right, we're starting with Moody Blends. Who from the Moody team is here? Go ahead and throw your hands up in the chat.
Anyone here? No?
Well,
should we skip if that person's not here, just so we can move to the people who are here?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Is there anyone here from the Dash Water team or Bubsy?
Bubsy.
We got Bubsy.
Oh, let's do that. I'll toss that in the channel.
All right.
Cool.
Do you want to give us a brief background on it? Whoever's here from the call, just a couple.
Hey, Shweta Doshi, founder of Bubsy. We are clean coconut oil baby products, and our stuff is super moisturizing, really rich formulas, all EU compliant, and we come in these really cute squeezable silicone animal bottles that I have right here, and they're refillable. So they make skincare fun for babies, and they're sustainable.
Amazing. I mean, I love everything about it. I have 3 kids, and bath time is always more interesting when there's unique products like this that are kind of like a mix of the toy and the functional product. I think my very first comment is when I got to here, everyone can see my screen, right? Before I just start talking, and there's, okay.
Yeah.
When I get to here, I love these little characters. The only downside is if someone just enters the site and starts scrolling, they don't necessarily know right away that that's the packaging, right? So if, some users are going to sit here, they're going to digest every piece of information right when they land here. And some people are just going to land and then start scrolling. And if they miss this for whatever reason, and they get here, there's a hover state. If you're on desktop, I already looked, that shows the packaging. I think I would lead with that image, just because as cute as these are in this format, I think showing it as the physical packaging is just so much more powerful for this product.
Yeah, I would add, I think, like from the first kind of above the fold load of the site, it's not clear that this is a skincare product. And I think the way that you described it, like the way that you told us what it was, should be, your subtext there. I like the bye to dry, but I think you could have that same sort of angle of, saying goodbye to dry skin that sort of alludes to it being a skincare product. I think also the imagery up there, you can have this be you can kind of have that image, but I think it's also important to note that this is some sort of there's something inside there too, which is really what you're selling. The packaging makes it exciting for this buyer, knowing that their kid is going to find excitement and joy out of the character bottle. But I think also making it clear that there is something inside. Maybe it's even a line that points to it and has it's like a dot and then a line, and it explains what's inside or what's special about what's inside. That might also be something that you can add right below the hero, is some sort of a testimonial bar or a brag bar, something where you can showcase a review or a press quote or some sort of a piece of social proof that also reinforces what the product is and why maybe a mom loves it.
Right.
The only last thing I would say on the CTA is depending on what your variants look like, whether it's a product, fragrance, scent, whatever it is, I would make that the CTA. So choose fragrance, choose scent, explore product, something like that, where you're not necessarily you don't have this feeling where somebody has to buy right there, but more so that they are entering your world and kind of walking into your store.
Yeah, I think one other note on that is the sustainability side of it. You mentioned that they're refillable. I didn't look deep enough to know if that's, you order a subscription and it sends like a biodegradable pack that you just squeeze into it, or if they're actually how that functions. But I think that if that is a key focal point of the brand, I think that needs to be communicated here.
Yeah, it's a large refill pack that we don't actually even do subscription yet, but I think you're right. I mean, it's hard. There's so many talking points. It's hard to figure out what to put up front. And what we've found is that the functionality and the effectiveness of the actual formulas have been the key leading point for our customer. So we actually, what you don't see here is we actually have a lot of before and afters about baby eczema, cradle cap, all these skin concerns that we're able to solve. And that's not here either. But I think your points around the fact that it's just like, what is the product is really helpful. I struggled with putting the sustainability up front because it's such a secondary message often, but important.
I think it is, but I think they're like going back to what Nick said in his intro with Hoox. Like, I think finding shampoo or bubbles or soap that is uniquely packaged is not necessarily unique anymore. And so I think you need to find what are those things that we're stacking to create like a more solid brand story. Like if we're talking in terms of how we wrap that all together, you're helping build a more sustainable future for the kids. And like, there's tons of stories you can build there. Yep. And yeah, it's probably not important to everyone, but I mean, it is something that sets you apart from, the other 10 at Target that have an interesting packaging. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
The other thing I would add too. So I mentioned like some sort of a testimonial bar. Your testimonials on your site are amazing. They all talk about how good the product is for baby skin and how it gets rid of eczema and rashes. I think that's huge. Like if I was a parent, that's probably the first thing I would want to know is what is this going to do to my baby's skin? And I think the sustainability piece is great. I think if you use that to more focus on it's sustainable, which also means that it is clean ingredients and it is good for the environment, good for their skin. I think that's a great way to position it.
Great. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I apologize. We didn't really get past your homepage header, but we're going to move on to the next one just because that took longer than.
Thank you.
No worries.
Is there anyone here from the Grow fragrance team? That one's up next. If not, we've got the Wild Alaskan Company as well.
I saw someone from the Wild Alaskan Company here.
Okay, cool.
Me too.
I'm here.
In
Perfect.
Miami, but living in New York. Is that right?
There we go.
Or something like that.
That's me. Yeah, just in Miami, working, soaking up the rays, etc. But usually in Manhattan. How's it going, guys? Yeah, Wild Alaskan Company. We deliver wild caught Alaskan seafood to the doors of our members across the US. It's right now only subscription. We have 3 curated boxes, add-ons and specials as well that you can spice up your box. And we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Awesome. I'm gonna look at this on desktop just because for some reason it might not be that way on an actual device, but I'm losing imagery when I inspect on mobile. At least for this section. So I love the brand, like everything looks really clean, everything's well presented, the photography is amazing. I think the main thing that hits me when I land here is the first place people are looking, like if you just imagine reading a book top to bottom, left to right, you've got your primary action on the right, which is great, but I think there should also be a second version of it up here. So just in case they're not seeing this, or they are just scanning this way, having that same kind of shop or get started button in some format up there to see what works better would be great. And then the other thing that comes to mind here is similar to what Nick said on the last brand, is just like, when it comes to fresh food, especially, trust is everything, right? Like buying a subscription of like hip new crackers, like how bad could they be for you in terms of like, being fresh and being, perfectly curated. I think when it comes to like actual fresh food being shipped to your door, I think people want to know that other people trust this, other people are feeding this to their family. It doesn't need to be reviews. It could just be like, we're shipping 800 pieces of salmon a day or whatever, like anything that can just say, hey, other people trust us, we're not full of shit, I think is really important here. Sorry, I'll let you talk, Nick. Keep scrolling.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my main thing, is basically putting the social proof up top. I think also, I'm a huge fan of separating the hero section of the site with the next main section with some sort of social proof in between. I think in your case, you could have a mix of whether it's like, logos from press companies or customer quotes. Probably speaking more, if you have customer quotes, probably speak more toward how you're different than like the fish that somebody could buy at a store or get delivered with another company. I love the photography in the hero because it really shows not only the box it comes in, but also what's inside and also what the product looks like. So I really love that. And Tyler, do you want to go on mute? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this is a really great page. I also love how you have the package options that people can go through. The brag bar that's at the bottom of the homepage, I would definitely probably move that up and probably include like some select quotes, especially bolding the words that really hit on the benefits of your brand. So, if it says something like, Wild Alaskan Company brings the best of farming and wild caught fish to the market, you would bold the wild caught fish part so people's eyes go there first.
Yeah. I agree with all that. I think one other thing I was going to note on this area. So let's just say that we want the wild combo box. This section. So I think one of the key things that we always push in our reports is you need to, whenever you're trying to sell someone more of something, you got to give them a reason other than just it's more of it. And I think that's unique to D2C in a lot of cases, but it's also something that comes from retail. And I think what you're doing here is you're saying, okay, choose a box size, 12 pack or 24 pack. The 12 pack is more expensive than the 24 pack per portion, but you're forcing the user to do the math on it, right? Like if I'm just cowboy mathing, it's $290. So they're saving roughly 10% if they increase to 24 pack. That's not made clear here. Highlighting those savings is critical. The other thing I would do here, which we try and do as often as possible, is if the product ships free or a certain product at a certain price point ships free, connect that verbiage right to the pricing. So in this case, it'd be like, even though you say it here, 145 plus free shipping, 267 plus free shipping. I know it's, beating it to death, but you can assume that they saw it up here, and it really is connected to that price and helping them justify the price in their head when they're clicking through. So I think it's something that you should update there. Just look at this quickly. Yeah, overall, really great site. Thank you for sharing.
And Caitlin, it looks like you already got a sale in the chat, so we love to see it.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
Awesome. We'll go to Breakaway Matcha. And if no one from that team is here, we'll jump to Your Cat Backpack.
Breakaway Matcha, anybody? I know I saw someone from Your Cat Backpack, I think is here.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, I'm here from Travel Cat Shop. We redirect to Your Cat Backpack.
Okay, got it.
Where do I grab that URL, Tom?
I'll toss it in there. One sec. Let's see. There it is.
Are you doing a collection page? Oh,
You tell me. We'll do whatever you want.
yeah, sure. Do a collection page because you could definitely work on those. So we're Travel Cat Shop. We're the #1 cat travel brand in the world with customers in over 75 countries. And we mainly focus on cat backpacks and cat harnesses. And we're 100% cat focused.
Amazing. All right. First thing that grabs me is this location icon. Sorry, is this currency? Basically?
Yes, we use, the location. Yeah, we use a software called Global E. So it converts pricing and people can choose the location.
So just a super small nitpicky thing, but this is a very common, like most people would look at this and be like, oh, I can go buy these in my city. I'll find the location where I can find them, not
Right.
currency selector. So just even making this a globe is more conducive to currency. It's a small thing, but I would try that. And then the other part up here is when you're working with mobile navigations, and people are reaching up to the top, it's easy to get accidental clicks. So you've got the space on this side, maybe just bump one of these over. It doesn't really matter which one, but just go 2 and 2 so they both have a little more space and you don't get those accidental clicks up there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
On the actual collections page, I think the main comment, is this all, or what am I looking at?
I think that might be the backpack. Yeah, that's the backpack collection.
Cool. I think the first thing that jumps out to me is there's a few products at the top that are on sale. And it's kind of that same thing that we talked about on the last one. You're making customers do the math on it. So obviously 119 is cheaper than 159. And then you've got the red text, so it's on sale. But just like, rather than saying on sale on this little sticker here, just say, save 30% or $40 off or $30 off. Just test different things and different verbiage there and make that sale tag louder, right? It's just white, gray on white. It doesn't scream sale to me. Obviously there's always finding that balance of like cheesy badges that are popping off the screen and being on brand. But I think in this case, it's almost intentionally too muted and it's just not pulling the user in. So I would try that. Sorry, I'll let you talk, Nick.
Yeah, sorry, I'm having some camera difficulties here. I think I completely agree with everything here. Only other thing I would say is maybe from like a product imagery standpoint.
Oh, Kyle, do you mind muting yourself?
It's always a Kyle. Product imagery wise, maybe just including some lifestyle in there so it feels a bit more real or somebody can see how this works in their own life. But generally, I think this is a pretty solid product page. One thing I would say is just make sure, and this might be the case already, but every piece of your description is clickable. We've seen that there's a ton of dead clicks that come from anything around the product image that is not clickable. Pricing, strikeout pricing, reviews, all that should go straight to the product page.
I think one other thing to note here, and going back to Nick's comment on showing them how it could work in their life or giving them an idea of what it feels like in reality, is if if let's say we're at the Herschel site and we're selling backpacks, people have a pretty good understanding of a normal size backpack and what that looks like. Obviously there's kids backpacks and there's, like big hiking backpacks, but just your average backpack, most people understand that size and you don't need a reference. In this case, having a cat backpack, at least for me, it's like, I've never even thought of it as a product. And so I'm struggling to visualize how big this is. You know what I mean? Is it kind of like a mini purse style backpack? Is it huge? And again, even just having a cat's head in that window, it instantly gives me a size reference of like, oh, okay, I can see how big this is.
Yes, I am realizing that this collection page is definitely lacking cats. So yeah, there's way more on our homepage, but yeah, after people click through, would agree with that. Like once people click or hover over, right, they'll see more. There's like a lifestyle image second, but yeah.
Overall, though, you've most everything is done right here.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for submitting. Tom, who do we want to do next?
Yeah, let's do. Is there anyone from the Feels team or Buddha Skin?
But
yeah, Butter's here.
Cool.
Hello, team.
Let's do Buddha. I'll toss that one in here.
Full transparency, guys. We currently have a Hoox page being built, and I think we're signing up for an audit full report either today or tomorrow. But yeah, feel free to rip this apart, please.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. I remember looking at this site and doing the quick win, so I'm familiar with it. I'm just gonna get this right. Okay, very first comment, just because I think it's relevant to everyone, and it doesn't just go for this section, it goes for anywhere on your site, is just like take an hour, go through your site and check the color contrast of everything. This header, it's a really powerful statement. Free shipping is important to people. But if your brightness is down, you're not even seeing this. It's just not high enough contrast. So there's color contrast tools. I'll send this in the chat, or Thomas can, that you just basically put in the two colors and it'll tell you if it's okay or not. But I would highly suggest just doing that across your site. There's also probably an AI tool out there that just does it for you and scans it, but definitely something to consider when you're looking at stuff like this. It's obviously very important when it comes to headlines and when it comes to actions, more importantly, but across the site, if you're going to say something, make sure they can read it. The other thing that we commented on, I remember when we were looking through this site when it was submitted, was I don't see the actual product. So although if I read deeper, I can see that it's skincare, I'm just seeing the models, and I think that can be powerful, but I think seeing the actual products is definitely what needs to happen here. Nick, I'll let you take over for a bit before I keep going.
Yeah, I think a lot of the same comments from the other side. The headline at the beginning should almost read as if somebody is coming and they have no idea what your brand is. You want to, not nice to say, but you want to assume everybody who comes to your site's really dumb. And so think of like, I have this concept I call the Kim K red carpet, which is Kim K was walking the red carpet. How would you make sure that she has everything she needs to know right when she needs it? And so in that case, I would probably add social proof to the top. I would add some copy that kind of talks about the efficacy of the product and what it really pinpoints on the problem it solves. I think the start here button is slightly confusing, only because I actually thought it was an email entry spot when we first loaded the page.
Yeah.
And I think again, social proof is huge, right? Especially when you're in beauty, personal care, social proof is almost everything. So I think adding testimonials, I think even further down the page, adding, if it's on brand for you guys, adding like a video player that has some short form content where you have somebody reviewing the product and kind of talking about their experience using the product. Another thing we found that worked well for a client of ours is before and afters. You have it right there. I would almost move that up. Another thing we did with SolarWave, which is a beauty device, is we have that before and after tab on the side of the page. That's where they get the most traffic and the most clicks. And so I think having that available a bit higher is much better. I do love the 6,000 5-star reviews. That should be in the hero, right? That's a huge point of social proof. That doesn't even mean that you've sold 6,000 orders. That means 6,000 individuals have taken time out of their day to come and give you 5 stars. And so I think that's a very powerful thing to put up in the hero.
Yeah, and I think speaking from the brand side, we talk to a lot of brands about this and go through this process of how do you find that balance of like, obviously this is a beautiful studio photo with models. How do you find that balance of produced photography, produced assets versus UGC or something more raw, right? And obviously from an aesthetic standpoint, images like this are always going to look better. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to convert better or they're going to work better. It's really hard for someone to visualize how, what these people look like with the product is going to resonate with them, or how it's going to, it just doesn't feel relatable as much. And I think it takes quite a while before I get to an image that isn't perfect. And so I think one piece of advice I would give you is, no matter what your target demographic is or target customer is, play with some more, not raw, but just more natural feeling assets throughout the site and just see how they work. It won't always work, but in general, I think people want to relate to the products more and relate to the customers more than they do, a model.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
No worries.
Cool. Shaun, if you can, just check the participants, if you can let a couple more people in. We're going to jump to another site here. Let's jump to this one big stuffed from Pat. I'm going to send that in the chat here.
This one?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, Pat.
Hey there. So Big Stuffed is a brand of stuffed animals. We're from France, and we're focusing on premium products, high quality, and the main idea is we want to make something that will last a lifetime. So that's it. We're really in the frontier between kids world and decoration, interior design. We get a lot of adults buying them for themselves, and that's it. Eager to know what we could improve.
Very cool. Do that exterior material, it almost looks like you can wash these things. I'm not sure if you can, but
yeah, we prefer to give them a little bath, just to not move the stuffing in the washing machine. When it turns very fast,
yeah,
it can just deform them a little, but yeah, they're definitely washable.
Cool. Well, I love the product. Very cool. I love the design. Everything looks great. I think on the site side, I think the main thing that I get out of going through the homepage is there's a lot of different ones in different sizes. And I think when it comes to giving people a jumping off point, you're taking a lot of liberty in thinking that a certain animal that you're featuring here, right? Dinosaur, octopus.
Muchas gracias por esperarme. What is the word? Un momento.
Dana, do you mind muting yourself, please?
Oh, sorry.
I think you're assuming that people will one of these specific sizes or animals will resonate with them. And I think there needs to be a little more communication around just how many different animals you make, how many different sizes there are. So maybe it's as simple as having a section that's shop by size or shop by animal, and almost get them off in a starting point, almost like you're curating the collection for them that you're about to surface. Again, I'm making a huge assumption that there's just a tremendous amount of different animals and stuff here. But I think that's the main thing that comes to mind is yeah, there's so many options and sizes that I think it would work really well to have that more, feels like you're surfacing the right animal for them. you know, just like David's saying here, like prime for a quiz. I don't know if you agree with that, Nick, but you talk.
Yeah, fully agreed. I mean, personally, I think this site is awesome. Not many edits to make, but I agree with everything that you just said, Shaun.
Okay, I'm just gonna look at the product page very quickly here.
All right, now I got notes.
Yeah, give her.
Yeah, so the reviews here are one, they're hidden when you load and then move your finger up slightly. The other thing is the stars are very hard to read. So I would try to find a brand color, even if it's this like dark navy that you have in the add to cart CTA, and make that your stars. Maybe it's something brighter actually, so it catches attention right away. I also think, the buy now with one click, definitely check if that's something that gets used a lot. If it's not, I would remove it and put maybe some more social proof or something there that kind of reinforces the reason that somebody's excited to purchase. I do like the shipped by, because I think one of the things that I've noticed does really well is telling people where it's shipping from, how long it's going to take, how long until their order ships, expected delivery time, etc. But yeah, I think my main call out is, the reviews there. I also think you can use your product imagery to add overlays. So whether it's like a circular graphic or some sort of a shape with some text overlaid, even adding a video in there, it seems like these are probably fun to play with. So adding a video in there and showing how customers use the product. You want to really focus on, getting somebody to buy a product versus selling a product, if that makes sense. So the difference is you want to show them how this product is used, how it'll fit into their lifestyle, etc., versus just showing the product that they're going to get when they open the box, if that makes sense.
Cool. Thank you very much.
I would, one thing on the gallery I would add is, I think that there's probably some uniqueness to these, even in this one particular, like there's two materials, they both look really cool. Like even just some arrows pointing out like what are these materials that make them unique, if they are unique, obviously. And then just another note on the buy now with one click. So two things here. You're surfacing a kind of sticky add to cart panel before they actually scroll. And then once I scroll, at least on this version, like when I'm doing mobile on my desktop, I can't actually pick the color anymore once I start scrolling, which is probably a conversion issue. Same with size. This, sorry, no, I can't get it. This is probably the biggest conversion dilemma you're going to have, is this to this to this. I mean, this thing could be the size of my car. I have no clue, right? And I'm sure as I scroll through here, it's going to show me it is the size of my car, but like that first image, like it needs to hammer people with like, just show a human being laying with every one of these first images. Like that's the only way you're going to be able to communicate how big of difference these are. Like this one is, by the looks of it, 1/50th the size of this, right? But that just doesn't come through in those first images. So that's a pretty big one. And then with the buy now one click, I think buy now is one of those things that a lot of brands just pop it in there because, like a lot of the features in Shopify or different apps, it's something that's easy to implement and it's definitely worth testing. I think the thing to keep in mind is buy now with one click is something that comes prominently from Amazon, and it works on Amazon, right? Most people, I mean, at least my household, I know the delivery guy because of Amazon. There's 2 packages a day showing up at my house from Amazon. Them having a buy now with one click button makes sense. No one is buying 700 orders of big stuff a year, right? They're probably buying one in their lifetime. So to assume that they're going to trust you with a buy now one click, it's just so unlikely. And I would say there's not a D2C brand on the planet that I would suggest buy now with one click is probably going to be really critical and helpful for your conversion, because it's probably not. Most people are probably going to want to go through a traditional checkout flow, just simply because they don't trust you yet. And I think that's, to Nick's point, definitely worth testing having there. But my gut is that most people are using add to cart, and you should focus your attention there.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, guys.
No worries.
Sweet. We'll jump to proxies, and I think someone from the proxy team is here. They want to give a little rundown. I think it's Blake.
Yeah. Pretty self-explanatory, hopefully, from that headline. But yeah, we're a non-alc wine alternative. Kind of build a blend from the ground up versus some other alternatives in the space.
Nice. The main thing that I always think when I'm going through non-alcoholic beverages that I feel like every one of them misses is I always struggle to figure out, because there is parts of my year where I'm drinking wine and there's parts of my year where I'm not drinking wine or where I'm taking a month off or 2 months off. And I think one of the major issues is, does it taste the same? And a lot of brands do a really good job explaining how their product tastes, but they do a really bad job of explaining how it compares to the real thing. And I think that's one of the main things. Like Oddit's worked on this site before. We've worked with proxies. And I think that's probably one of the main things that from a product positioning and brand standpoint that I think needs to be more clear is just straight up using a comparison chart of like this is grapefruit, tan, and body spice. But even for someone, my wife's a sommelier, and even I can't explain to you why those things are important or what they mean when I'm drinking wine. And so I think finding a way to display, here's what a normal red wine or certain type of red wine is going to taste like. Here's what ours is going to taste like. Here's the main differences. Here's the price difference. Here's how it makes you feel different. That type of comparison for me is the most powerful thing you can do when it comes to non-alcoholic beverages. And maybe I'm missing something, but I can't find brands that do it, and I don't really understand why. I'm not sure if you agree with that, Nick, but I feel like it's something that is always missed and is obviously hard to populate in a convincing way, but I feel like it's just a huge home run if you can do it right.
Yeah, I think like one thing that might solve for that too is the hero image is beautiful and gives you that space up top, right? If you were to take that yellow and just extend it up a bit and then put the wine glasses a bit lower, you get this nice real estate to add some of that copy that might convey that. One other thing that I think about too is like where would I consume non-alcoholic wine, right? Like why would I buy this, or why would I buy this over a juice or something like that? And I think that is probably the mindset that people who come to the site are in. Maybe less about like, does this taste good, and maybe more about, where could I use this, or how does this fit into my lifestyle, or what do I get as a benefit of drinking non-alcoholic versus drinking alcohol. I'm personally somebody who doesn't drink alcohol anymore, so I know the benefits are huge. I know that across sleep, across energy, across mental clarity, there's tons of benefits. And I think that those are worth talking about here, or maybe those are worth just leaving for a landing page or maybe for a product page. But I love the branding of the site. I love the design. One thing here I might do is add a CTA in each card just to make it very obvious. Again, we want to assume that people don't know that things are clickable unless we make it very obvious. And so that's probably the only thing I would add in addition to the hero.
I think on these two, creating that design hierarchy is important when you're looking at cards like this. So like these types of what I would call a sticker, that real estate, it's generally used for, the best way I can put it is things that turn off and on. So if you're just assembling these cards, or you're a designer or you're a brand looking at how do we present information on these cards, these types of labels, I would say for things like a sale, or it's the most popular, it's a bestseller, it's new, anything that can turn off and on, right? As it gets older, that new tag goes away. As it becomes less popular, that popular tag goes away. As it goes to full price, sale tag goes away. Key information like one white, one red, one rosé, two red, that needs to be in here, because these are, at least from how other sites have established them, they're not ever like super critical information to the product itself. They're timely. And so I think I would probably put that info down here, or even just label these like, one red, one rosé, and then, one white, one rosé, two red, like almost connect those to the bottles instead in the imagery. super small thing, but I feel like it'll have an impact on communicating more clearly. And when it comes to clicking through, the faster someone understands what they're looking at, the faster they can click it, and the more likely they're going to click it.
Awesome. Yeah, like we have Cam from your team.
Yep.
Like we work with Coolin, so he's taking a stab at a landing page for us through Replo, which we have in the works. It should be done soon, but it's actually combining a lot of stuff that you guys were just talking about.
Amazing.
Like the comparison chart and educating people on what proxies are and what they kind of taste like before they actually get to the purchase option. So we've even found like describing, we have a separate page, which is WTF or proxies. We've been sending most like cold traffic there, and that's actually been outperforming most collection pages and stuff. So
yeah.
The other thing,
go ahead.
oh, sorry. One other thing I was going to add. So I'm just reading some of your reviews, and it's pretty obvious that your product is orders of magnitude tastier than anything else in the non-alcoholic market. I would really, really harp on that, because I think, I think there's two funnels you want to build. One is for somebody who needs to be convinced to try non-alcoholic. The other is for somebody who wants to be non-alcoholic, but already kind of knows the market a bit and probably knows that most of them, taste like bitter juice or just really bad. And it's pretty clear in your reviews that your product is significantly better than anything else in the market. So I would definitely focus on that, especially on the homepage.
yeah, for sure. I was going to actually ask, like, how do you guys typically, if you're building out a landing page that's like built to sell, let's say, versus like having a more generic homepage that kind of anyone can land on, how do you balance, like at what point is every page just becoming like a landing page, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, generally with a really good homepage, it should be as effective as a landing page. The thing to remember is the one thing that sets landers from your main site is landers will speak to the intent of that customer. So how well do they know the brand? Are they coming from a channel where, they've just discovered the brand for the first time? Or are they coming from a channel where they're reordering and they already know, so they're focused on different benefits or looking to get something different out of that page? The other one is, landing pages let you kind of speak again to the angles or to these two different things that I was talking about, versus a homepage, you're really speaking to one type of customer or one problem. And so, I would use the landers to really try and test different messaging or different offers, different merchandising, try to figure out, is there a specific product that sells better to new customers? But your homepage can probably remain a bit more generalized. I like to use what I call the push and pull method. So pushing value, pushing education, insight into the brand, storytelling, and pulling it would be, trying to get the sale. And so I think balancing the sections, one push section, which might be your hero and your testimonials, and then a pull section, which starts talking about the product and getting them excited to buy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. Super helpful. Thank you.
One last thing on the product pages, because it's more of there's an information hierarchy issue, and then just the UI UX. I think one thing to always keep in mind when you're approaching your digital kind of design system is building a hierarchy of importance. So right here, this there's no doubting that the brand and the aesthetic and everything you have here is beautiful, but I think where it leaves me wanting more from a design standpoint is there's no difference in design between this selector and your add to cart. And so let's just say that they land here first. This is establishing this color, this size, this typesetting as a selector. What I mean by that is like a variant selector. And then you use the exact same styling in the add to cart. They're both effective and they show what this is, but you're not letting the add to cart stand out as a unique element. And when it comes to your product page, that needs to be your loudest element. So just finding some way to make the add to cart feel more prominent or different than that selector, I think is going to help your conversion. The other thing I would note here is, and I apologize for saying this 4 times on this call, never make your customers do math. This is a 4-pack of wine for $98. $98 feels expensive. 20, whatever that is, $24.50 a bottle. feels less expensive. I would definitely test not even showing 98 and show $24 per bottle and show 98 and 24 per bottle. Try all three of those, see which converts better. My guess is showing both was going to convert better, but it's definitely something you need to play with because it's just one of those things. Price is everything when it comes to conversion, and how you communicate that is really important.
Awesome. I think we got time for one more. We'll do Temple. I think this is skincare. Anyone from the, I think someone from the Temple team is here if they want to give a little background quick.
Hey guys, I'm here. Raf from London. So yeah, thank you so much. Brand's called Temple. We're focused on personal care and grooming products that specifically are created to address the needs and concerns of men of color, Black, Asian, mixed race, otherwise. We've started with skincare, but the plan is to really expand it and go after that whole self-care stack for this demographic of consumers.
Sorry, Thomas, I don't have a link.
Yeah, I'm sending it in the chat. I don't know why it's not showing.
Yeah, tmpl.care.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, not that one. That's a sync. MPL care.
TMPL. Yeah, .care. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I would love your take on this, Nick. I see this with a lot of brands and I totally get it. Sometimes you have reviews, but maybe you don't feel confident that it's enough reviews. So you're just saying, hey, we're on Trustpilot. When I see that, because maybe I'm overanalyzing everything I see online, I instantly think, oh, they have an account on Trustpilot. They have nothing else. That's where my brain goes. How do you feel about showing the fact that there is reviews, but not any type of numerical response of like, here's how many, or here's the rating?
Yeah, so typically when I see Trustpilot, my first thought is actually, oh, this is actually more legit because Trustpilot is a lot more strict with how they allow reviews to be, moderated or reviewed by a merchant. However, I mean, no one's going to know this outside of probably people who work in this industry, but like, this Trustpilot, for example, is an image versus clickable to the Trustpilot page. I still think like review stars with a number out of 5 stars or number of reviews given or some sort of that number with it adds a bit more credibility. That said, you have Dragon's Den here, which is probably a huge credibility adder. I know in the US, when anything says it was on Shark Tank, the click-through rate goes up, 2 to 3x right away. What is Mandem?
I was going to say the same. I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah, it's basically just like saying like the boys, but it's just. I
think you should do that. You should say something like self-care for the boys, or it's also not super clear that it's for like men of color. I also think if your hero section had like half of this image was like 2 to 3 guys, an Indian guy, a Mexican guy, a Black guy using the skincare, and then the bottles in front to show like, hey, this is actually a range of men of color, not just Black men, not just brown men. And then showing the products to also demonstrate, that this is a skincare product. The image you have of the Black male next to prevent razor bumps is, I think, amazing. I would almost like add a little like arrow to something where it calls out, razor bump prevention or something like that. Just as my first thought here is the Smile Direct Club, but then reading the copy with it, it makes a lot of sense because Black guys and brown guys get tons of razor bumps and ingrown hairs.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I have a lot of the same comments. I think the way I always look at these headlines up at the top is like that could be the only thing someone ever knows about you. There's a lot of times, like most D2C brands, you're probably primarily paid traffic. Someone lands here, they either like it or they love it in seconds, and they either leave or keep going. And I think as much as this might mean something to your team, the fact that Nick and I both had never even seen that word before and didn't understand it, to me, that's a big enough focus group to say, kill it. That's me being cutthroat about it. But like, for me, it's either clear or it's dead. There's only two paths: crystal clear or nothing. And, you know, big brands, really big brands can get cheeky and, you know, be less clear. I don't think you're there. Not being rude at all. They're, you know, I'm talking household names. I think it'd just be more something more clear would be better there. Just gonna.
Yeah, 3 more comments. One is you have this GQ badge. You should use this a bit more around the site, especially on the homepage, maybe even in the hero. I think that's that's such a great logo to have. And so I would definitely use that. The second one is, do you primarily sell in the UK?
Yeah, it's mostly in the UK. We will ship to like the EU and America, but like high 90% of our orders are going to the UK.
Cool. One thing I would test, just because I know it's done well for some of the UK versions of sites for us, is change add to cart to add to bag. For some reason, the UK really resonates with the word bag versus cart. And then the last thing is there's a company I invested in called Black Wolf Nation, which is also a men's skincare brand. And the one thing I learned from Black Wolf that I think, you know, allowed them to do so well in this category is like, they just understood that guys don't necessarily care too much about all the complexities. They want to know it works. They want to know the ingredients are good, and they want to know it's going to make them look good. And so I think even testing some of the copy, like how could you make it, like this part's great, the real men, real talk. You know, testing some of the, even like understanding how some of these guys are talking about the product and then using that same tone of voice across the site might yield a better conversion rate.
Okay, sick. Got it.
I think we're up on time, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you both to Shaun and Nick. Thank you to everyone who joined. We will definitely be sending out this recording afterwards in a follow-up email, so have a look out for that. That's it, y'all. I'm going to drop in the chat if you're interested in talking further with me or with Hoox. I'm going to drop how you can book a demo with us or just send me an email. Always here to connect.
Thanks, Nick.
Awesome.
Thank you, Shaun.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.